Today, we head to Asia and all the way to Japan to rebuild Seigan Tosu, the worst club in J-League 1, as they get relegated to the second tier of Japan for the first time since their promotion in 2011. Seigan Tosu have had some unbelievable kits, which is why I know the club. But now it's time to turn them into a footballing giant in Asia. We're looking to win the top flight of Japan and also, of course, look to win the AFC Champions League and make Seigan Tosu from the worst club in Japan to the best club in Asia. Now, sadly, I can't use an updated database to make Seigan Tosu be relegated to the second tier of Japan, as that simply doesn't exist just yet. But what we can do is use a wacky formation and have some fun with a club that are actually predicted to come down in 17th place. So this first season is by no means going to be difficult, and we're going to be using a very random formation. Now, I looked through the club here at Seigan Tosu, and I've got to be honest, I don't know a lot about Japanese football, which is why this rebuild is going to be very, very fun, because I'm going to be looking to mainly sign Asian players within the Japanese league, and hopefully find some hidden superstars. But we are using a mental tactic for Season 1 because they haven't got a left back. Maybe that's why they got relegated. Sort that out, Seigan Tosu, please. Why have you not got a left back? I mean, what we're going to be using is a free back system with Yamazaki Harada and Kim Tae-hyun as the free centre backs, who look all very decent. I don't really know the level of Japanese players, to be honest, on FM. I don't know how good they are, but 13 marking, 15 tackling and 14 heading seems fantastic to me, with very decent physical stats other than pace. I don't see why this guy would get relegated. Kazuki Yamazaki looks fantastic. Our two DMs in front on DMs and support is Naoku Fujita and Fuk Uta, who, again, both of them look semi-decent. They look about League 1 quality. I don't know if that's about right or if we've just got a horrendous team. On the right wing, we're using defensive wingers with Torijo Kubo because we've got no left back or right back. Or wing backs or anything like that. Defensive wingers are going to be needed so they can get up and down the right side and left side with Yuto Iwasaki in the middle. And we've got Yuji Ono in centre mid on attack, and an advanced playmaker on attack in Vintas Svika, who again looks very decent in there. Two midfielders looking to get forward and helping pressing forward Jaja Silva, who has some decent finishing, some decent physicals. And from what I've seen, Japanese defence isn't exactly fast. So 14, 15 pace and acceleration is going to be pretty damn decent. Now, financially, we seem in quite a good spot with £7.5 million in the overall balance and zero debt on the club as well, which is absolutely fantastic. So that is a very good thing to get us kicked underway with. Again, I don't know comparatively how that is in Japan. I guess the best thing to do is simulate into Season 1 and see if we can survive using this absolutely mental tactic and have some great fun scouting the Asian market for some supreme superstar talent. And well, the tactic was actually pretty mental and got us all the way to the quarterfinals of the All Japan League Cup. And we can see exactly how the tactic's going to work in game there, with Svika getting down the line and whipping the ball into Ono to make it 1-0. And we do have them wingers getting forward. Even though they are defensive wingers, they are creating support out on the left side. Overload to the middle with Fukuta getting up there to make it 2-0 in 15 minutes. Kim Tae-hyun, our left centre-back, scores a penalty to make it 3-0 before another lovely move in just 28 minutes as Nakahara gets down the right side, whips it in. Ono beats his man again to make it 4-0 in half an hour, and it's going to be 5 and the final goal of the game in the 35th minute as Iwasaki gets down the left-hand side, drills it in. Ono is there, and 5-0 for the All Japan quarter-final. A very decent showing, and I'm very impressed with this tactic. Now, sadly, that was the end of our All Japan Cup run, and we got knocked out in the semi-finals to Urawa, who are a very decent side, I believe. And we lost 3-0 here in the end, but very impressed that we at least got to the semis in our first season. The same sadly couldn't be said for the Japanese League Cup, as Yokohama absolutely smashed our group. We come second on 7 points, but you don't qualify, so we're out of that already. But overall, the form in the league was pretty topsy-turvy. It wasn't fantastic. We conceded a lot of goals. We had some decent runs of form, and all of that eventually got us into 14th place in the league with 8 wins, 9 draws and 17 losses, and just a -6 goal difference, as a lot of our games were high scoring games. We actually ended up with the 7th most goals in the league, even though we came down in 14th. Of course, nowhere to be seen on this few was conceded, because as you can see from the data hub, we didn't keep the ball at the net. This middle defensive system that we tried to make with defensive wingers Defensively didn't work, but we did manage to get a few goals. So at least we were exciting and we've survived in the J-League, which is absolutely fantastic. And a big dub on the start because in real life, obviously, they've been relegated. We were only 5 points away from finishing bottom of the league, but we haven't, which is the good news. We can now make a charge up the table and see if we can start competing. And it looks like finances-wise, we weren't too depleted this season, just losing around £2 million, being at 5.8 at the end of the year, again still with no debt. But the boards have been very polite and given us £11.5 million in transfer budget and 4.5k in wage budget. Now, as I've said, I want to try and keep this to mainly signing Japanese or Korean or mainly just Asian-based players to build a pretty cool team. And we're going to be changing this formation as we go as well and building up a nice team of what we can find and hopefully also bring in some players from the youth academy. It's not been very successful just yet, but hopefully we can find some because Japan seems to always bring out amazing youngsters in my saves years in the future. Hopefully we can do that here as well. We've not got great youth recruitment or youth facilities, but you never know what might happen. Let's get involved to season number 1, see if we can bring in some Asian stars and maybe some from Europe as well. My first signing was a fun one and one I wanted to bring in, and it's Ravel Morrison on a free agent contract from Precision in Japan. Now, Ravel Morrison is an absolute superstar. I mean, I'm a Manchester United fan, as you can tell from behind me. This guy coming from the academy was electric to watch. It's never quite panned out for him, as we can see. Loan moves all over the place, sailed to West Ham for 300k, and is now back in UAE in Precision. Has been at DC United, Derby, ADO Den Haag. Maybe Japan is where he finds his home. He's not exactly a superstar here, nonetheless, but I like the signing, and it's a free one as well, so a nice little bit of fun. We're getting some players that can certainly impact this team. Number 1 is Oscar Arribas, a Filipino central attacking midfielder with 18 determination, decent physicals, 13 dribbling, 11 first touch, good passing, good technique, a good J-League player, which is already a bonus for us, and is consistent. It's not like in big matches, but we're not going to have many of them for a few years. So Oscar comes in as a star player. As does Mohamed Haney. We have actually signed a right back. The Egyptian comes in. He does like big matches. He is also consistent. He can get forward. He can cross. He can dribble. And his defensive stats are decent as well. We're going to look to utilise him, though, as a very attacking fullback. Moving on to some startings for some actual money. Number 1 is Wu Shakong, signed from Başakşehir in Turkey. He looks absolutely brilliant. Very good pace, good heading, defending and tackling, good determination. Just 23 years of age with 4 caps for the Chinese national team. Wu Shakong could come in here and be a star. We've also signed a brand new goalkeeper in Tomoyo Wakahara, signed from Kyoto. I believe he's their backup keeper. He is indeed, since they got up into the top division, but he's better than our current goalkeeper, and he's just 24 years of age, and he's consistent. So again, looking to see if he can be a good keeper for us. The signings don't stop there. In fact, we are only halfway through as we bring in Yuya Asano, the 26-year-old striker, to come into the club, and again, be a very decent player for us. He can also play in the cam role, and we need quite a few cams. I'll show you the tactic in a minute because we're going to play a very fun one. 13 finishing, good composure, decent physicals, good natural fitness, good consistency. Yuya comes in as a great player. We now head into the Bosnian leagues and find left back Milan Kovacevic, who looks absolutely brilliant at just 18 years of age. He's got good crossing, good decision making, good determination, decent physicals, decent defensive stats at just 18 years of age. Now, I am using an updated database, and I think this could be a new wonder kid on the game. Milan Kovacevic looks brilliant, and it's cost us just 325k. But if he's not quite ready, we have signed Kashif Bangande from Chiba. He is a Japanese left back with a cap for the national team, who again can get forward with good crossing, good dribbling, and some decent pace. And finally, our 3 biggest signings. Number 1 is Namdi Offerbor, signed from Swindon as a great midfielder. Number 2 is our star centre back now, Hayato Tanaka, who is 20 years of age and is easily our best defender with fantastic defensive stats. And finally, a superstar striker in Aziz Yakubu with fantastic natural fitness, great finishing, great composure, consistent, likes big matches, and has played over in Portugal at some pretty big teams like Vitória, Estoril, Rio Ave, has moved to Japan in Shimizu. In the second league last season, he grabbed 13 goals in 35 games. There is no reason whatsoever a player like this can't absolutely destroy J-League 1. I mean, he's a leading J1 League player. I've got no idea how he was in the second tier, but he is incredible and comes into the team with this new wacky formation we've built, a 4-2-3-1 with cams instead of wingers, who are both going to be setting as shadow strikers, a back four with fullbacks on support, ball play defenders on defend with 2 DMs on support in DM, with an advanced forward up front in Yakubu. This season in the J League, we are predicted to finish in 15th place, so certainly some improvements from last season from 17th, and now with a slightly better formation and a more well-rounded team, I'm hopeful we can fly up the league. Well, first up, the All Japan Cup, and again we get to the semi-finals before losing to Hiroshima as Aziz Yakubu grabs a brace, but it wasn't quite enough. And in the league, he certainly helped us as he gets top goal scorer with 24 goals and fires us up to mid-table in 11th place on 49 points. Now that is certainly a big improvement. We have the 2 best average ratings in Yuji Osho and Aziz Yakubu, and we're now mid-table, meaning we've got our 2 superstars. We just need to build the rest of the team around him. Yuji Ono, who was absolutely fantastic last season, our first season in the league, grabbed 13 goals, 6 assists and a 7.38 average rating. Yakubu, 30 goals, 8 assists in 37 games. Oscar Arribas, the Filipino cam we brought in, 35 appearances, 12 goals and 10 assists. Yuki Hiragome, Tashi Kikuchi, Rafa Morrison even had a part to play with 6 goals, 2 assists in 19 games. Again, I know he's not a superstar, but a very fun signing and a good player to get a ticket in the team as well. So nice to see that. Overall though, a very good season. Much better than last season. Defensively, still not great. Need to improve that, but we are scoring more goals. And hopefully we can just carry on building on what we've built here, because things are looking quite decent. And we did actually make it for the Japanese League Cup this time. Got to the second round and got battered by Kyoto 5-2 on aggregate, which is sad. But overall, I am very happy with this season. All 3 competitions I feel like we've done semi-decent in. We're certainly away from being the worst team in the Japanese top flight now, which is good to see. And I think now we can start building to get up into the AFC Champions League or the Europa League equivalent as well. I'd like to win both if possible, but number 1 priority is the AFC Champions League. And even though the budget has been completely depleted in terms of our bank balance, the board are still hopeful we can continue to push on, so they've given us £5.6 million to spend again. And it's got to be said, scouting in the Asian divisions and trying to find players that aren't from Europe and big names and trying to find different players has been quite difficult, but also very, very fun, because I've managed to find a lot of random players that I've never seen before in FM, and it's been quite a fun sort of challenge to build a squad in this way. The number 1 signing we've made is a Panama centre-back, Giovanni Ramos, who's been released from Alianza in Peru. He came up on our scout team. He looks pretty decent as well. Very consistent, just 28 years of age, and should hopefully help shore up that defence. And actually, we had quite a lot of success in South and North America as we now head to Argentina to find Juan Pablo Arango, a good young Argentinian cam. And signed from the exact same place is another good young Argentinian cam, slightly more ready for the first team in Darlo Munoz, who again is consistent, now a decent J League player and looks very decent. We now head to South Korea though and to Daegu to find their superstar midfielder in Park Se-hin. 20 determination, which I absolutely love to see on any player. Decent technical stats, very good mental stats and decent physical stats as well. As a central midfielder or a cam, this guy looks absolutely brilliant and seems like he can progress into a top player as well. Because of that determination and of the potential he's got, he should be able to get there. Next up was a brand new goalkeeper, a position we are certainly struggling to find someone to be a star in. Janata Ito comes in from Mbari, has got good aerial reach, good communication and decent jumping reach while being consistent at 24 years of age. I hope he can be the one. In central attacking midfield, Tsukasa Morishima comes in to be an absolutely brilliant player for us. Very good technically, good mentally, good physicals, consistent. You know the stats that I look out for. If they're consistent, they like big matches, and they've got some good mental, physical and technical stats as an all-rounded player, they're going to be good enough for me. I mean, again, I'm struggling because I don't really know the level of the Japanese league, but this guy looks very good and very well-rounded, and my scouts are telling me he's a good J-League player. So as one of our 3 cams, I'm very excited to have him in. And finally, a player that I do know a little bit more about because he actually plays for Luton is Daiki Hashiroka, who comes in as a leading J1 League player. He's a right back / centre back. He's consistent, good physicals, great defensively, and obviously has Premier League experience, which is very rare to find here in Japan. We have slightly altered the formation because we've signed so many midfielders. We've gone to a narrow 4-3-3 system this time with a DM, 2 midfielders, 2 cams, and a striker. we'll see how this goes. I don't really know what I'm doing at this point tactically, but it's quite fun to rebuild, to just mix up the tactics every season and try and sign players just to see what they look like and then build the tactic around them. It's a different challenge, but quite a fun one. It's got to be said, sadly though, our youth academy though is not bringing through many players, as there's not a single one in the first team yet. And when I look through the under 18s, it's not looking amazing. It's not looking good, Brev, in terms of the youth academy here. It's not filling me with a lot of confidence. So we're going to be going to the market a lot for young players, because apparently Sagan Tosu can't develop their own, which is maybe an issue as to why they've been relegated. Season preview wise, again, we've moved up now to 12th place. Now a comfortable mid-table team. We do have the best striker in the league in the Media 11, Aziz Yakubu. I don't know how he's not been poached for us, how he's not even wanted by anyone. He's a star in this league, and I wouldn't be surprised if at some point European teams start to come back in for him. If we don't get into the Asian sort of Champions League, Europa League, I think he could be off. So this season, we've got to go for it. And then finally, we get over our fears and actually win in the semi-finals of the All Japan Cup against Sapong. And Aziz Yakubu had an absolute field day. And again, it's a first half demolition. Apparently, we came out the blocks very hot. Asada this time down the left-hand side of a long-range effort. Poor from the goalkeeper. Straight at him, to be honest. He doesn't quite save it, and that makes it 2-0 for Hashikoka. Goes on the right-hand side. He cuts it back to Park Si-jin. Whips it in. Aziz is there yet again for 3-0 in 43 minutes. And the fourth comes just before half-time as Ono whips it in. Aziz is there again. He grabs his hat-trick, and we're off into the Japanese Cup final, which we're going to have to watch after we've done some transfer business and gone through the season, because it's actually not played to the 1st of January. And if I go to that point, I lose the league progress. And you might want to see how we done in the league, because this season with this tactic, we were so consistent and we blew teams away on an unbelievable level. You can see here a run in August to November of unbeaten games, scoring so many goals. Aziz Yakubu was an absolute nightmare for teams, scoring 27 goals, again with 2 assists. And it actually led us to winning the top flight of Japan in just season number 3. Aziz Yakubu with 24 goals, Arribas and Kovacevic with the tops in average rating, and Yuji Ono in 3rd place. Kovacevic, the left back we signed, hasn't progressed a lot, but he has been unbelievable in the match engine with 7.31 overall. Oscar Arribas, again, a fantastic free agent signing from Johor. The Filipino cam has been brilliant. And Yuji Ono, now at 32 years of age, still giving his all. 15 goals, 8 assists. What a player. This has been a fantastic rebuild so far. Just 3 seasons in, from the bottom of the Japan to top of Japan. Unbelievable. Sagan Tosu are the winners of the Japanese League 1. In the Japanese Cup, sadly got knocked out in the first round, so that's a bit embarrassing. But overall, a very, very good season. In the final of the All Japan Cup, which we'll get into in just a minute's time, and winning J-League is brilliant. Data hub-wise, we have sort of fixed the defensive issues. We're just scoring so many more goals. And I think it's semi-down to this tactic. Now I'm going to click through it so you guys can copy it if you want to. Wakahara in goal. Hakiyoshi at right back with Yamazaki and Ramos, the 2 centre-backs were there. Kovacevic at left back with Silva in DM. Ono and Hiroshima in midfield of Nakahara, Arribas and Yakubu as the front 3. It is set to a positive mentality. That's the in possession. That's the in transition, and that is the out of possession. If you want to use the tactic, you're absolutely free to. I've got no idea how good it actually is. Given we were predicted to come mid-table and we won the league by 6 points, I would say it's quite a good tactic. And it's the first time ever in the history of Sagan Tosu we have won the J-League. So that's something the tactic has got on its side. We have turned a team from relegation fodder to mid-table to being the best in the league. And it's all thanks to some fantastic signings and an unreal tactic. Finances-wise, that's not done bits just yet. But as soon as we get that money for being in the Champions League of Asia, we are going to get lots of it. Now, the only difficulty we've got is that competition runs, I believe, July to May. So it's going to be a little bit weird in how we have to go through and look at that. Each season we get into it, we're going to have to go through and find where we got. You know, it'll be the group stage up until we do the transfers, and then we'll do transfers, and it'll be the second half, etc. Hopefully we win it quite quickly so it's not too confusing for too long. But that is going to be something to keep an eye on, because the players we buy now in January are going to be there for the group stage, but they've got to have a 2-year contract, because If not, it's going to be a mess, and we're going to have a completely different team for the knockout places. And we want a good knockout team. That is the key. We have now ticked off the #1 goal of winning the J-League. Now we need to tick off #2 of winning the Asian Champions League. And well, to be honest, after you've just won the J-League, it's difficult to go and sign 2 new players that improve the team a lot. #1 is goalkeeper Callum Ward, signed on a free contract, released from ASC Oulu in Finland. He was a Bournemouth youngster and has played over at Bashley, Tottenham, Tasham, Weymouth, moved to Finland, has been very good there for 3 seasons, eventually running down his contract. He's come here to Japan to be our starting goalkeeper, and he looks fantastic. And then signing #2 is a bit of a mental one. Albert Sambi-Lokonga, apparently winning the J-League gives you a ridiculous reputation, and we can bring in, very high championship, low-level Premier League players from the actual Premier League from Arsenal. Welcome, Sambi. Come in and be a superstar for us. And finally, we've signed Japanese centre-back Seiya Baba, 24 years of age. Now, he's not physically that good with pace, etc., but offensively, he is absolutely brilliant. He's got the consistency and signed from Osaka for £2.9 million. They signed him for 2.4 just a couple of seasons ago from Sapporo. He's been good over there. I think he's going to be even better here, and I'm very excited to see what he can do. And that was it in terms of signings. And we faced against Niigata in the final of the All Japan League, and Renan Lodi scores a penalty to get them 1-0 up, and they are going to grab a second as well, as Nagakura finds Nato down the right-hand side, whips it in, and Gomez is there to make it 2-1. The reason I couldn't show you the highlights till now is because Sambi-Lokonga is going to grab his first goal of the club in the biggest game of our sort of season, and he grabs it in the first start. 73 minutes in, shows his quality, brings it down, finishes it in the bottom corner, but sadly, a 2-1 loss in the All Japan Cup. So that's still something to tick off the list. And in terms of the J-League, we are now considered a much better side, into the top 6 in predictions, which is great to see. Sadly, right now, we cannot see our group or anything for the Asian Champions League because it's not been drawn. It won't be drawn for another 5 months. So we'll come back at the end of the season and see how the group stages have gone. Hopefully, we've got through them. Although, one thing I have sort of remembered is that we are going to be playing against Saudi teams, and they're going to have lots of money and some very good players. So maybe winning this Champions League is going to be more difficult than I thought. I have just seen that Bruno Fernandes is at Al Ittihad and scored 15 goals in 20 games. That's the sort of competition we're up against. And the holders are Al Hilal, and they've got Kevin De Bruyne, João Cancelo, Joshua Kimmich, Leroy Sané, Marcus Asensio, Bremer, Philip Kern. Yeah. This is going to be a tough one to win. We were drawn in Group H, along with Jeonbuk, Bangkok United, and Shanghai Ports. And you can clearly see we're the better team than all of them, and ended up winning Group H on 15 points, which means we are going to the knockouts at least. Well, we have been drawn up against Ulsan Hyundai, who I believe are one of the biggest teams in the Korean League. So it's certainly going to be a difficult game in that one, but that's to come up. First of all, have we won any other competitions? Well, it's not a lot, but it is something. We have won the Japanese Super Cup, and again, I just want to show the tactic in full work here because Haney, a great ball into the onrushing Arribas to make it 1-0 before Morishima eventually gets stuck, but Bongande plays a great ball through in the end into the box for, I believe, Aziz Kubu to grab his first of the game and making it 2-0, and we are going to grab a third as well and absolutely smash through this. Our first trophy ticked off. Can we get any more this season? If it's Aziz Kubu's problem, yes. But sadly, he wasn't going to quite be able to get us another J-League as we lost to Fukawa, and they end up winning the J-League on 79 points, beating us by 2 points, meaning that game was what it was, which means we didn't win it, sadly. But we did come second, and we do qualify for the Asian Champions League again, which is the main now goal of winning. We have won the J-League. It would still be good to continue to win trophies here, but not the end of the world, as Aziz Kubu still gets top goal scorer, which is absolutely brilliant. And again, the tactic is absolutely cooking. I'm in absolute love with what we've created here. It's pretty damn good, and I don't really know why. It's very centrally based, but our cams will go out and mark the wing backs, which is, key, because otherwise we're going to get absolutely overrun. So it's really good that they are there. The midfield is nice and strong, and of course, Big Aziz up front is an absolute king to see. That's it in terms of this season. Sadly, we didn't win the All Japan Cup or the Japanese League Cup. We are in the second run in the Asian Champions League, though. Let's make some signings to make this knockout run one to remember. So we have absolutely gone for it and signed 7 new players to improve the team. Number 1 is Saudi left-back Zakaria Hawasawi. Number 2 is Korean centre-back Cho Wee-jae, who is a fantastic defender. Number 3, a goalkeeper from Gwangyong Lee Gwangyeon. Number 4 is Kim Tae-hwan, a right winger / right back signed from Jeju, who again looks brilliant. Number 5 is Australian central attack midfielder Miguel Di Pizio, who looks brilliant and has got a very fun name to say. Next up is Kang Sin Yoon, who's a fantastic Korean midfielder at just 22 years of age. And finally is Hidesama Koda, who is signed from Cerezo Osaka, who's got good pace, good physicals, good dribbling, good crossing. Maybe overspent on him at 2.1 million. But still, a fun little player to bring in who looks very, very good. In terms of tactic, of course, we are keeping the same thing, but the team now looks like Lee Gwangyeon in goal, Hishoka, Cho Wee-jae, Baba, Hawasawi, Sambila Kunga, Murashima, Kang Sang-hyun, Nakahara, Aribas, and Yakubu up front. I am excited for this season because I think we can now go ahead and dominate in the Japanese league. We are the 4th best team, but I think we have got the best team. Best centre-back, best centre-mid. I mean, they're lying if they don't think we've got the best striker, because we definitely do in Aziz Yakubu. Back-to-back top goal scorers in 2 seasons. And of course, the Asian Champions League. Where in the first leg, we faced up against Ulsan and drew 1-1, which means we have to go away from home to see if we can get through. And boy, did we impress with our new signings absolutely cooking, as Di Pizio makes it 1-0 in this game with a great 1-2 with Kang Seong-young, making it 1-0 in just 50 minutes. We are going to grab a second as Sato on the right-hand side finds Bangande. He fights it back to Baba, finds Sambila Konga, who is just a cheat code in the J-League apparently. That makes it 3-1 on aggregate, and you can see now the counter-attack as Di Pizio goes forward. He finds Sato, who gets up to the goal, finishes it for 3-0 and 4-1 on aggregate, which means we're going to the quarterfinals. Well, we are facing Beijing, and the first leg was a ball 0-0, but this leg, Yuji Ono was on a different level of form. He scored in 3 minutes just there, and he scores quite literally 60 seconds later, making us 2-0 up inside just 4 minutes. And there is a long way to go in this game, though, as Beijing are going to get back to it. Pantea finds Sam on the right wing, finds Vaziz Abreu in the middle to make it 2-1. And before we go 3-1 up, Hashoka on the ball, sets it into Barber. A great ball to Kim Tae-hon, falls to Ono again for a hat-trick in 23 minutes in the Asian Champions League quarterfinals. What a hero. Beijing are going to grab another goal to make it 3-2, but it wasn't enough, and we're heading to the semi-finals. We are facing Kawasaki, and we know we are better than them. We have just got to perform over the tie, and going 1-0 down isn't exactly what we had planned, as Christina Bere scores for them, but we do bounce back at home to get a 1-1 draw. I mean, again, we set up a difficult away tie, a good ball into Koda to make it 1-1. Let's see if we can get the job done and secure the final in the first time of asking in the Champions League. Well, we go 1-0 up in just 16 minutes as Asano finds Ono to find Kim Tae-hwan to make us 1-0 leaders. But Kawasaki are going to come back in the 72nd minute. A great one at the top. Christina Bere finds the man in the middle. Saved by the keeper. It drops to Sommer, and the game is 1-1. And that's how it finishes as we head to penalties. And we are going to watch these penalties because I can't quite believe how bad Kawasaki are at penalties, or how good Lee Gwang-yong is at saving penalties. As we win the penalty shootout 3-0, and Kawasaki don't score a single one. That one, they just straight out miss and hit the woodwork. Koda scores there to make it 3-0. And sadly, we can't see their penalty because FM is bugged. But you can see we got absolutely dominating this match, including a red card for Zakaria Hawasawi. But they are apparently just shocking at penalties, and we go into the final. Well, we are facing up against Al Ali, who have got some very good sides, but not the best team in Saudi Arabia, that's for sure. Fabinho, Leon Goretzka, Jose Gaia, Ivan Toney, and Erkan Kukucu are all top players, but I'm glad I'm not facing up against Bruno Fernandes and Al Ittihad. And in the first leg, well, I don't quite know what happened here. We might actually be becoming Asian Champions League winners in our first try. Nakahara scores a header at the back post in 1 minute and 30 seconds. but Al Ali are going to get back into the game as Al Balawawi gets down the right-hand side, finds Ferras in the middle to make the game 1-1, but we were well up for this game. It is a double-legged affair, so in the home leg, we had to come away with a win. Coda found Pizio, who drives through the gap and finishes to make it 2-1 in 46 minutes. And on the other side of half-time, on the 48th minute, we're going to get down the right-hand side with Kim Tae-hwan, who's going to beat his man, find Coda, to find Asano at the back post, to make us 3-1 winners on the day. And all we have to do now is head away from home against Al Ali and not lose, and we have won the Asian Champions League. And while conceding in just 2 minutes isn't exactly what I had planned, as Roger Ibanez scores in that time, and they actually tie the game up 3-3 pretty quickly, as Sad gets down the left-hand side, finishes to make the game 3-3 on aggregate. But it's time for Tosu to come back. A long ball whipped in. Nakahara can't quite win it, but he brings it down with a 10 out of 10 touch before the ball falls to Ono to make us 4-3 leaders. And we are going to grab another as well as Kim Tae-hwan whips it into Nakahara. Again falls down in the box. Defensive mistake. It falls to Morishima, who scores a screamer. It's 5-3. Al Ali are going to try and get back into the game in the 76th minute as a ball out to Ferras. It eventually comes down the right-hand side, puts it in the back of the net, but it wasn't enough. And Sagan Tosu, in just 5 seasons, have gone from the worst team into Japan to the best team in Asia as we win the Asian Champions League, which is absolutely incredible and something I didn't expect to be happening this soon up, which is absolutely brilliant. I've got to say, I'll quickly skip over the rest of it. J-League, we lost this season, 3 points behind Kashima on 72 points. All Japan Cup we didn't win, and the Japanese League Cup we didn't win either. But a fantastic rebuild, start to finish, signing players that I've never played with in real life, building tactics that are absolutely mental and having so much fun. This save file is going to be available on the Patreon for anyone that wants it, and you can try and make us an even better team and dominate Japan more, win more trophies, and of course try and win that Asian Champions League again. As of course we are already through in the group stage after beating Melbourne, April 25 and Johor to come top of our group, and we are of course the holders as well, which is incredible. So if you want to carry this on, feel free. The Patreon's down below, £5 a month. Help support me out massively. The squad is fantastic. We've signed some brilliant players. I'm in love with Sagan Tosu. Thank you so much for watching the worst team in Japan rebuild to the champions of Asia.